All right, what's up, everyone? It is Ryan, and we are here with episode number 20. We've reached the 20 episode mark of our Out of the Park Baseball 18 series with the Miami Marlins. It is officially the All-Star break, Sunday, July 10th, 2022. Your Marlins, 31 and 57. We are 22 games back in a pretty competitive NL East. Otherwise, other than us. You see, the Phillies are only 3.5 out of the wild card, and we are much further behind than them. So we are not going to be anywhere near the playoffs this year, unfortunately. Everyone wants to get out of here. Vasquez doesn't want to be here anymore. Lagares doesn't want to be here anymore. VR doesn't want to be here anymore. So it has not been a good year. I'm really kind of hoping I get fired so I could maybe go with a new team, because this is really starting to test my patience just a little bit. So just take a look at the OPSs of our offense. And before we do that, let's just take a look at the rankings. So we are either last or close to last in almost every single one of the batting statistics, the base batting statistics. So we are 13th in batting average, 14th in OBP, 15th in slugging, 15th in OPS, 13th in runs scored, 14th in hits, 15th in extra base hits, 15th in home runs, 10th in walks, 5th in strikeouts, and we are tied for second in stolen bases, the only category where we're not completely awful. And looking at pitching, 14th in ERA, 15th in starters ERA, 7th in bullpen ERA. The bullpen has really faltered the past couple of months. 14th in runs allowed, 13th in hits allowed, 15th in opponent's average, 12th in BABIP, 14th in home runs allowed, 10th in walks, 13th in strikeouts, and 12th in defensive efficiency. A bad year all around. We are 20 and 22 at home, 11 and 35 on the road, 13 and 16 in one-run games. You see, we were 7 and 16 in April, 13 and 15 in May, 6 and 21 in June, and we are currently 500 in July after 10 games, 5 and 5. You see, 5th place in the NL East and 11th place in the NL wild card race. Taking a look at the mail, a couple things here. Personal message from owner Jeffrey Lurie Jr., midseason review of goals. They say winning fixes everything. It sure would be nice if he would get the team to fix some things during the second half of the year. I would appreciate it if you would actually listen to me when I tell you to re-sign a player. I feel like sometimes you don't show the proper loyalty to our players because they suck. And if we kept our veterans like Liam Hendriks around, I think we would have more respect around the rest of the league. During our time working together, which has been, roughly 5-6 months, 7 months, I suppose, because he was hired in, January, I think, and sometime around then, I've been ecstatic with your progress towards the goals I've set out for you. That being said, when I look at the team's history on and off the field, my overall impression doesn't rank quite as highly. The final evaluation towards these goals will come at the end of the season. Good luck in the second half, Jeffrey Lurie Jr. We do have expiring personnel, our scouting director, so we would like to bring back our scouting director in Theo, so we want to offer him an extension, and he doesn't want to come back. Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to need a new scouting director. We're going to lose Theo, unfortunately. Damn it, man. Damn it. Oh, that sucks. All right, so we're going to lose Theo. Todd Benzinger, I don't really want to bring him back, honestly. I'm fine with finding a new hitting coach. Looking up here, was there anything? Oh, we tried to get this international amateur free agent. It seemed like he could be pretty good, but we did not really have the money for him, unfortunately, so we could not get Juan Mississippi Trejo. He ended up going to the Los Angeles Angels. And funny story, so in my OOTP franchise that I'm not doing for YouTube, I started out with the Phillies, of course, and I actually got fired, and I ended back up with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, I should say. Of course, if you've been around me for a while, back when I had a different channel, you would know that I did an Angels Out of the Park Baseball 17 series, so I thought it was kind of funny that I ended up coming full circle. Now I am back with the Angels in the OOTP series, franchise that I'm doing by myself, solo. Was there anything else that I needed to talk about? I guess just the All-Star rosters. Oh, by the way, suspensions were a thing. So Tellez got suspended for 7 games, so that was cool. There is Alfredo Despain, who is not having quite the success that he had with the Marlins, just looking at that little stat box down there. How are I actually kind of want to see how the Mariners are doing standings. So the Mariners are dead last. All right, so they're basically in the same position that we are. They are 27-63. Ouch. Wow, that is awful. Okay. But the All-Star Game rosters have been announced. Let's see who we got. I know we got at least one. It had to be Soto, right? Yep. So Luis Soto, I think that was the only guy we got. Taking a look here. I know we didn't get any pitchers. Okay. Yep, so that was the only guy that we got. Looking at the rest of the All-Star roster, starting in the American League, Bernardo Flores, Shintaro Fujinami, Michael Fulmer, Brent Honeywell, Michael Lorenzen, Martin Perez, Chris Sale, Blake Snell, Cody Allen, Dellin Betances, Yuki Matsui, Andrew Miller, Will Smith, and Juan Trujillo are your pitchers in the American League, and your batters, Francisco Mejia, Max Pentecost, Gary Sanchez, Casey Gillespie, Connor Godert, Brian Dozier, Yohan Moncada, Fernando Perez, Rafael Devers, Joey Gallo, Xander Bogaerts, Francisco Lindor, Clint Frazier, Amores Minier, Michael Reed, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Nomar Mazara, Brett Phillips, and Sean Reynolds. And in the NL, your pitchers, Nathan Eovaldi, former Marlin, Josh Hader, Thomas Hatch, Kyle Hendricks, Clayton Kershaw, Alec Mills, Noah Syndergaard having an exceptional year, Jose Torres, Ian Anderson, Kenley Jansen, Adam Liberatore, Mark Melancon, Robbie Ross Jr., Jose Ruiz, and your batters, Wilson Contreras, Travis d'Arnaud, Tom Murphy, Dakota Robbins, Luis Davalos, AJ Reed, Ozzie Albies, Willie Calhoun, Chris Bryant, Kevin Maitan, Kevin Newman, Brendan Rodgers, Edmundo Sosa, Yoenis Cespedes, Aldram Corredor, Michael Gigliotti, Corey Ray, Luis Soto, Alex Verdugo, Ron Warren, Socrates Brito, and Bryce Harper, who is currently injured. Unfortunately, he always ends up wrecked by the time he when he reaches free agency, and it just gets progressively worse, which is a shame. But having said that, Mark Mathias is ready to come off the DL. And I suppose I should actually go through stats because I realized I didn't do that. Looking at OPS, Andy Ibanez is leading the way with a 781 OPS. He's hitting 271, 319, 462, about what we've come to expect from him. He's been close to a 2-win player. He has 13 home runs, 58 RBIs, 71 strikeouts to 23 walks. Luis Soto, 41 stolen bases, OPSing at 741, so he has rebounded a bit from a tough start to the season. He's hitting 293, 370, 371. Obviously, the slugging will always be low with Soto. He has little to no power. As you take a look here, he has good gap power, but no home run power to speak of. Although he has struck out 45 times, walked 41, so the eye is still there, the discipline's still there. Just, unfortunately, not been a good season all around for the Marlins. Vlad Guerrero Jr., he started off really well for us, but he has since regressed a little bit, which was to be expected. He's currently OPSing above 700, slashing 261, 312, 401. He has stolen 6 bases. He's been close to a 1-win player. He has 3 home runs. He struck out 35 times to just 11 walks. VR has not performed like we really expected him to. Tellez has had a very, very off year. He only has 10 home runs now, and we are halfway through July. Of course, we are at the All-Star break. He's hitting just 226, 297, 387, so not what we come to expect. He's seeing 82 OPS plus, although his BABIP is 269, so that would indicate to me that he's been a little unlucky. I kind of want to look at his advanced statistics. So, expanded batting statistics. All right, so he's striking out much more than he has in recent years. This would be his highest mark since 2017, although that was in limited time. 2018 with us, he struck out at a 23.5% clip, then he knocked it down to around 20, and now he's back up to 23.7. The ISO is lower than it's been in a couple of years. The BABIP is much lower. Very low WRC plus, obviously. So he is walking. So 2020 had an 8.8% walk clip, but you see 2018, 2019, and 2021, it was double digits. So I think the problem, his BABIP is low, which is definitely an issue. His ISO is lower than it usually is, but I think the issue is that he's striking out more than he usually does. He's not really walking a ton. Hopefully he can fix that as time goes on because, of course, we did just sign him to that long contract extension, which at the time I thought was a steal. But now it looks like I might have overshot that just a little too bit. But a little too bit, that's nice. A little too much, but hopefully he can prove us wrong and become the player that we know he can be. Who else is notable? Danielson Haro has had an okay season, I suppose. He's been an average player. Kelenic has had a rough season. He just came back from injury. Vasquez, of course, we have him on the team for his defense, as I said multiple times before. And that is that. Pitching-wise, he had to send down Braxton Garrett. If we go over to our AAA squad, Braxton Garrett. I'm not a big pitcher record guy. I don't think that's the best way to determine how good a pitcher is. I think it's actually pretty obvious that it's not. But he was 0-10 with a 5.50 ERA, 324 opponent BABIP. He was striking out about 8 batters per 9 innings, but he was walking 4.4. His home runs per 9 innings shot up to 1.6, which would be the highest mark of his major league career thus far. 1.61 whip, 66 strikeouts to 35 walks, and a 79 ERA plus. If we take a look at his pitching stats, and we want the expanded stats, you see his FIP is 5.36, his FIP minus 123. He is allowing close to 10 hits per 9 innings, one of the highest marks ever for him at any level of professional baseball. It's just, I don't know what happened. It's a shame. I sent him down to AAA, and in his first 3 starts, it seems like he has not done very well there. Now, I always have to preface this by saying that he is playing in the Pacific Coast League, so his statistics will be higher than someone who would be playing in, say, the International League, but hopefully he can turn it around because he was supposed to be a big part of our starting rotation for the next several years. He's only 24 years old, and I really hope he can turn things around. But going back to pitching, Boomer Biagalski has done okay. It's about what he's done ever since he got called up to the major leagues. 2019, he posted a 4.12 ERA, 2020 4.07, 2021 3.74, and this year 4.15. So he's been about what we'd expect. I had to call up Nick Pivetta because AJ Moore got injured. John Harmon finally came back off the disabled list, and I think, so he did make one start before the All-Star break. He went 6 2/3, allowed 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 home run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and did not pick up a decision. But even prior to that, he was having a very, very rough year. So hopefully in the second half of the year, he becomes better. Reed Foley just came off of the DL, and it seems like he's had a rough go of it since he came back on June 19th. Skylar Zinski, of course, he's not very good. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping that Oakland trade. What was that Oakland trade? I feel like I just looked this up in like an episode or two ago. That was the Hechavarria trade where we traded Hechavarria, Gonzalez, and Glenn for Zinski and Sky Bolt, none of which has become really a Major League mainstay, unfortunately, which is to be expected. I mean, we traded Hechavarria. You're not really expecting a huge return for him, but having said that, the bullpen, it was doing well, but it has kind of regressed a little bit as the season's gone on. Caleb Dirks has had a rough year. Parker Bugg has had a rough year. Tyler J has still not put it together, unfortunately. Probably should have traded him when I had the opportunity. I might trade him at the deadline. I don't know. I don't know what I could really get for Tyler J. He is 28 years old, so he's still, at that age where you could maybe get like a lottery ticket prospect for him. But Franklin Colomb has done okay, I suppose. Liam Hendricks has had a solid year. I know that Mr. Laurie Jr. wants us to re-sign him, but I don't really like his ratings anymore, so I don't think I'm going to re-sign him, even though that Laurie Jr. is probably going to get pissed. But that's just what it is. So I think I'm going to try to find some trades for some of these guys that want out of here, just because it's not worth it to keep them on the roster, especially we look at a guy like Jonathan VR, who, taking a look at his contract, I should be able to get something for him. His contract's not an albatross, and he's still rated pretty highly. He's still, a solid guy who can do some things for you. So I'm going to try to find some suitable offers just to try to get some prospects, as I have every year since 2017. And hopefully I can find some intriguing offers. I will be back hopefully soon. Okay, so if you look at the clock at the bottom right of the screen, you can probably tell that the trade that I made, with VR and Lagares, it took a while to find offers for those guys. And the reason for that is because I did not stop at trading guys like VR and Lagares and Vasquez, the 3 names that I mentioned roughly over an hour ago. In the process of finding trades for all of those three gentlemen, I came to the realization that with the way the team was constructed right now, I would not be winning anything anytime soon. And seeing as my farm system was still middle of the pack at best, I had a fire sale, so almost all of the players on my Major League roster, the 25-man roster, are gone. All of them that had value, I decided to trade away. And that's how we have gotten to the point where we are at right now. I think I made about 6 trades, if I remember correctly, 5 or 6. And I have completely restocked the farm system, I feel. I don't think we had any more Blue Jays trades like we had several years back when we traded Yelich and Stanton and Conley, among others, in that Reed Foley, Guerrero Jr., McGuire, Dwight Smith deal. So without any further ado, I'm going to go trade by trade to show you what I did. And at this point, I'm kind of assuming I'm going to get fired, and I'm not going to be able to see if these guys pan out, which is another reason I did it, because I'm just really expecting to get fired soon. I mean, when I got fired from the Phillies franchise that I'm doing by myself, solo, not doing for YouTube, I kind of realized that if I got fired from that team with as much success as I had, I'd probably end up getting fired from Miami sooner rather than later. So, as I said, without any further ado, let's go trade by trade. So the first one I made was with the Tampa Bay Rays. We traded 31-year-old shortstop Jonathan Villar, 23-year-old minor league center fielder Luis Cifuentes, and 28-year-old minor league starting pitcher Brett Lilac to the Tampa Bay Rays for 23-year-old reliever Sixto Sanchez and 24-year-old reliever Austin Franklin. Sanchez had intriguing ratings. It seems like he never quite developed as he has in some of my other OOTP saves. He was a former Phillies prospect. It seems like he ended up on the Rays at this point, and he's not done well, but I'm going to trade for him with the thought process of a change of scenery might do him some well. And you see he is involved with the local animal shelter, which is always good. So we get Sixto Sanchez in that deal. We also get Austin Franklin, a guy that was on the Rays Major League roster at the time. He is 24 years old, intriguing ratings. Right now he has 2+ pitches. We'll have to wait and see if that changeup can develop into anything other than below average. Right now it's graded out at a 45 with the potential to be a 55 grade pitch, which would be great. He just wants to make his mom proud. You can't be too upset at a guy like that. And he has been in the league for less than 1 year, only 84 days of service time, so a lot of team control. We'll see if he can become a solid pitcher for us. The next trade I made was with the Cincinnati Reds. We traded Juan Lagares, 33-year-old right fielder Juan Lagares, to the Cincinnati Reds for 28-year-old reliever Jose Barrios, the former top prospect of the Minnesota Twins organization. He has now found himself on the Cincinnati Reds. He was actually traded, over the offseason, I would imagine. And we'll have to see if he can maybe turn things around with us. He was having an okay year with the Reds. He had an okay year with the Twins, but he was really never able to live up to that top prospect billing. I imagine partially because he has control issues, major control issues. He's walking 6 batters per 9 innings this year. And partially because of the fact that they tried to make him a starter, at least initially, though it seems like they moved him into the bullpen later on with just 2 pitches. The changeup never developed into anything, unfortunately. But we'll wait to see if Jose La Máquina Barrios can become a solid contributor for us. He does have 5 years of Major League service time, but I can't imagine this guy's going to get a ton of money on the free agent market, so I'm sure we can re-sign him for a solid price. We made another trade. That's not it. That is it. We made a trade with the New York Mets. We traded 27-year-old first baseman Rowdy Tellez, 28-year-old reliever Tyler J, 24-year-old starting pitcher Skylar Zinski, 18-year-old minor league reliever Eric Cox, and 23-year-old minor league starting pitcher Michael Rapsat, who we acquired very early on in the series, to the New York Mets for 23-year-old minor league starting pitcher Johnny Bontrager, 26-year-old reliever Michael Baumann, 19-year-old minor league shortstop Rodolfo Cardenas, and 25-year-old minor league second baseman Luis Carpio. Cardenas and Bontrager, were 2 of the top prospects in the Mets organization, so I had to get both of them. Michael Baumann had intriguing ratings for a 26-year-old pitcher. They had him as a relief pitcher, I suppose, although I don't know why he was listed as a relief pitcher for them. But he is going to be a starter here with us. Control is an issue with him as well, and velocity is also an issue. It seems like he only tops out at around 88 to 90 miles per hour, especially in this day and age. That is very rare for a pitcher to be successful with that type of velocity. But otherwise, the ratings are intriguing, and he is only 26 years old, just 10 days of Major League service time. Another guy with long team control, though I doubt I'll be there in Miami for the next 6 years. But we'll see if Mr. Baumann can become a solid piece in the rotation for us for the next several years. And if nothing else, we'll see if he becomes a solid bullpen piece. Luis Carpio is an advanced 25-year-old second baseman / shortstop that we got. No power to speak of whatsoever, but solid contact skills, great eye, and discipline at the plate. Avoiding strikeouts is a bit of an issue, but he has some speed to him. He can steal. He can run the bases. He is a spray hitter. He's the type of player you'd be happy to have as the face of your franchise. Now, obviously, he is not the face of the franchise. But you see last year in AAA, where is it? He slashed 290, 379, 423 with an 802 OPS. Now keep in mind, they also play the Mets AAA team, Las Vegas. They play in the Pacific Coast League, so these numbers are going to be a little inflated. This year AAA, he hit 270, 369, 339. Seems like he had a stint in AA as well. I don't know if he started the year at AA or if he started the year AAA and then got demoted. But we are going to see. He's definitely going to slot into our starting lineup immediately, and we'll see what Mr. Carpio can do. Now, the big deal, actually, before I get to him, Rodolfo Cardenas, one of the top prospects in the Mets organization. Now we have him. He can play multiple different positions, and he can play them fairly well. He can play second base and shortstop very well. Third base and left field, that's a bit questionable. In center field, you probably don't want to put him out there. Very good defensive ratings. He's got a ton of speed, elite speed, 75 grade speed. He's got okay contact skills, nice gap power, no home run power to speak of. Not as good of an eye as Carpio, and strikeouts are also an issue with him. Now, he is only 19 years old, so we're not going to see him for a while, but we'll see if he can develop into a solid shortstop for us. Over the next 5 to 6 years, that's probably when we will start to see him up in Miami. The big guy I got in this trade was Johnny Bontrager, who is going to slot, I was going to say slot into our rotation, but I see he has not pitched above high A yet, despite his intriguing ratings. Take a look at the scouting report. Should be a bona fide top of the rotation starter. Now, I know you should take these scouting reports with a grain of salt. Obviously, it might say that he should be a bona fide top of the rotation starter, and then he'll flame out. And vice versa, it might say that he'll always just be a mop-up guy and turn into one of the best pitchers in the league. So I know how those work, but we will see. He does have intriguing ratings. The stuff is probably the most questionable part of his game, but it is going to be above average, supposedly, as long as it reaches that 60 grade stuff rating. 3+ pitches in the cutter, slider, and changeup. He's got the stamina. And we will see if he can do very well once he comes up in, I'd say, within the next 2 years. That would be a good guess. So that was the trade we made with the Mets. We traded Rowdy Tellez, who we just gave that extension to. I don't know. I'm going to try to get ahead of the curve on this one. If he ends up declining, then at least we traded him for something. If he doesn't end up declining, then I jumped the gun a ton, but we will see. After hitting 47 and 46 home runs the previous 2 years, he has 10 this year at the All-Star break, and he's having the worst year of his Major League career. So we will keep tabs on Mr. Tellez, but hopefully, I would like to see him do well, but at least we got something for him. We got some of the Mets' top prospects, and that is that. Next trade we made is with the Chicago Cubs, where we traded 25-year-old center fielder Luis Soto, 22-year-old left fielder Danielson Haro, 25-year-old minor league starting pitcher Joe Jackson, 27-year-old reliever Park Bug, and 29-year-old starting pitcher Nick Birdie to the Chicago Cubs for 25-year-old reliever Eric Doherty, and he's not a reliever. I will get to that in a second. 23-year-old minor league third baseman Christopher Martinez, and 23-year-old minor league center fielder R.T. Bartz. I imagine most of your reaction right now, if not all of your reactions, are why the expletive would you trade Luis Soto? As I said, I'm having a fire sale. I was trading anyone that had any trade value whatsoever, and I realized that Soto is 25 years old. He's probably not going to be here when we finally become good again. So I decided to get what I could for him now. Well, his value is around the highest it will ever be. Now, I imagine it will stay at this level. I hope it stays at this level because he's a hell of a ball player for a while. But I decided to cash in on his extremely high trade value and get the number one prospect in all of baseball, Eric Doherty, who is liked by both the OSA ratings and our head scout, Theo Epstein. His velocity sits at 98 to 100 miles per hour. He has the stamina, 80 grade potential stuff, 60 grade movement, 55 grade potential control, 4+ pitches, the 70 grade fastball, the 65 grade cutter, the 60 grade slider, the 65 grade changeup. And along with Doherty, we get two other top prospects in the Cubs organization. Actually, they're top 2 and 3 prospects, and Christopher Martinez, who seems like he could be a solid contributor at third base for us, as well as Artie Bartz, who does not have the intriguing rings that his friend Martinez has, but at the same time, I think he could become a solid outfielder in our organization. We're going to probably put him in what would appear to be high A ball because he's never played above mid-A. So we'll put him in advanced A, I would imagine. Never fails to be interested in what others have to say. He has speed. He is okay defensively. So I thought that, it was tough for me to trade Soto. But he was really the only guy in this trade that I was concerned about losing. I know what Jackson's ratings are. We just got him in that Mariners trade. I'm fine letting him go in exchange for a guy like Doherty, who is definitely an upgrade. Parker Bugg is a relief pitcher. These guys are a dime a dozen. He is 27 years old already with control issues. He's walking 4 batters per 9 innings this year. Who else did we trade? I was not concerned about losing Jackson. I was not concerned about trading Hero. I was not concerned about losing Bug. And Nick Birdie never worked out here. He was acquired in that trade with, I forget, from the White Sox, I think. I'm pretty sure we got him from the White Sox, if I remember correctly. But, okay, so we got him from the White Sox. Just never worked out at the Major League level. He's going to be 30 years old pretty soon, next January. So I figured it was time to cut bait with him, salvage our losses, and he was included in this trade for the top prospect in all of baseball, and that top prospect in Doherty will immediately slot in as a pitcher in our starting rotation, partially because he's ready, but also because we need starting pitchers badly. So the next trade that we made, if we go up here, let's do that. Let's go one at a time. We made a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays. We traded 27-year-old starting pitcher Boomer Biagalski, 29-year-old third baseman Andy Ibanez, 26-year-old starting pitcher Sean Reed-Foley, 23-year-old third baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and 23-year-old minor league shortstop Cash Case to the Tampa Bay Rays for 23-year-old minor league center fielder Ben Melee, 24-year-old minor league shortstop Sergio Guerrero, 19-year-old minor league starting pitcher Rogelio Infante, and 25-year-old minor league second baseman Lucius Fox. Once again, as you probably did when you saw I traded Soto, you are probably saying, why the expletive would you trade Boomer Biagalski, Sean Reed-Foley, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Once again, they had trade value. I figured I'd cash in right now, recoup my losses on that awful Toronto Blue Jays trade that did not pay the dividends I thought it would. And in return, we get the number 3 prospect in all of baseball in Ben Melee, a 23-year-old outfielder who can play left, center, and right extremely well as second base. He's got speed, he can steal, intriguing contact, gap power, home run power, and eye/discipline ratings. He can avoid strikeouts. He'll probably be in Double-A, and yes, he is, because he has never played above A ball, and he'll probably be up within the next year or two. So we get the number 3 prospect in all of baseball in Ben Melee. We get also Sergio Guerrero, who also has intriguing ratings. He plays a very, very good defensive shortstop. He has speed, solid contact, and gap power ratings. A little bit, it's right between average and above average. He can avoid strikeouts. No home run power, really. He'll probably hit, some out. You see in AAA in 2021, he hits 9 home runs. That's probably about as high as you could expect from a guy like this. He is fragile, but he was actually born the same year I was. I like to see that as soon, you get further on at these OOTP saves, you start seeing guys that were born the same year as you. It's like, wow. Because you see some of these guys that are born in like 2004, you're like, oh my goodness, we're really that far into this already? But Let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about with Guerrero? Theo really liked him. OSA, not as much, but we'll see how he becomes. He'll definitely be on the Major League roster just because we need guys since we just traded everyone. Infante had intriguing ratings, and I think he could become a solid starter for us in the future, although I say that with every pitcher that we get, so maybe I should just stop saying that because maybe I'm jinxing him. Fox cannot do anything with the bat, but extremely good defensively, very fast, popular in the clubhouse. He never shows any lack of effort and has a good head on his shoulders. So those are guys you'd like in the clubhouse, and I'm not opposed to having them on the Major League roster at this point because, as I mentioned, we need guys. And yeah, so that was the trade we made with the Tampa Bay Rays. We made a trade with the Dodgers. Okay, how much more trades we got? 1, 2. Okay, so we made 2 more trades. One we made with the Los Angeles Dodgers. We traded 32-year-old reliever Brandon Maurer to the Dodgers for 26-year-old minor league left fielder Michael J. De La Cruz. Maurer is just a guy who, 32-year-old relief pitcher, might as well get what we can for him, give him a chance to maybe win a ring, because as you see here, he has never won a World Series in this OOTP save, so we'll give him a chance to win a ring. He was very good for us in 2020. Last year was an off year. This year he bounced back, so we'll give him a chance, do right by him, send him back to California, and give him a chance to win a World Series. And in exchange, we get a 26-year-old left fielder, Michael De La Cruz. I don't know why he is playing in advanced A-ball this year when he has played in AAA and AA in the past, but I would imagine he will be on our Major League roster because his ratings are good enough for him to be on the Major League roster. So that's who we get, a 26-year-old outfielder who has just 78 days of service time in exchange for Brandon Maurer. And the final trade we made was with the Boston Red Sox. We traded 27-year-old second baseman Mark Mathias, 23-year-old starting pitcher John Harmon, 17-year-old minor league center fielder Ismael Molina, 25-year-old minor league catcher Jackson Lueck, and 25-year-old minor league catcher Pablo Garcia to the Boston Red Sox for 26-year-old minor league third baseman Michael Chavis, 21-year-old minor league starting pitcher Dan Borthwick, 21-year-old minor league starting pitcher Juan Brito, 22-year-old minor league shortstop Alexander Campos, and 23-year-old minor league reliever Jason Groom. So just further strengthening the farm system that we have now. We got the only guy I'm really upset about losing in this deal is Molina. Mathias did well for us after we acquired him from Cleveland, but it was time to let him go, I think. He's been with us for, his second year, I believe? Third year with us. Wow, okay, so he's been with us for 3 years, and this is by far his worst year, although he was injured there for a while, but we did trade Mathias. Was not concerned about losing him, and we'll see if maybe he can win a ring afterwards. We also traded away John Harmon, was not concerned about losing him. Ismael Molina, this was the guy that I was upset about losing the most. Now, he is only 17 years old, so you never know how this kid's going to develop. But this was, I believe, one of our international signings. He was either an international signing or a scouting discovery by Theo. This was the guy that I was really upset about losing just because it seemed like he could become a really solid player. OSA liked him a lot more than Theo for whatever reason, but we'll see if he can develop. He's only 17 years old, so we probably won't hear much about him for at least 7 years, but that was the guy I was really upset about losing. But you look at a guy like Mathias, Harmon, Lueck, and Garcia, not really guys that I was upset about losing like I was with Molina, but as they say, if making a trade doesn't hurt you as much as it hurts the other team, then it's really not fair. So the guys we got, Michael Chavis, the former top prospect in the Red Sox organization, who has, I guess, fallen out of favor with that front office, so we're going to take a chance on him, see if he can become the player that some thought he could be. We get Dan Borthwick, who was the number 19 prospect in all of baseball, Juan Brito, the number 17 prospect in all of baseball, and Jason Groom, the number 8 prospect in all of baseball. And along with Alexander Campos, who had intriguing ratings in that he can play a really good defensive second base, a really good defensive shortstop. He has speed. He runs the bases. It seems like they actually got this guy from independent league ball, which is interesting. So we'll see. He's only 22 years old, so we probably won't see him for a few years also. But that was the final trade we made. So it was quite the fire sale for your Miami Marlins. We are 31-57, one of the worst teams in baseball, and I was just tired of, it's I really wish I could have made it work with that team, but I just did not see any way possible we would have made it work. I mean, we're going on 2 decades without making the playoffs. I had to do something. This is, quite possibly one of our worst. Yeah, this is one of our worst years in quite some time. The 240 team average, that's the lowest it's been since 2013, since before we took this team over. The 507 team ERA, the highest it's been since 2019, and the second highest mark it's been since, what is this, so that would be one of the worst marks we've ever posted in the team's history, one of the 3 worst marks in the team's history. So I had to do something. I hope you guys can understand. I'm sure that most of you probably don't, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but when you see this guy on YouTube trade away all of his top players for prospects, I don't know how I would view it personally, but it's, just in my head, I was just tired of never getting anywhere with this group of guys that we had. I tried my best to give it enough time, and as I said earlier, to be completely honest, I think I'm going to get fired in the next year or two. So, I mean, I tried one last-ditch thing to try to make things work here in Miami, and if this doesn't work, then I'm going to get fired anyway, so oh well. But I am going to cut away here and just try to fix this roster, because if you take a look, we have 11 guys on the roster right now. So I am going to fix the roster, get it all filled out, and I will show you guys what it looks like later, hopefully within the next couple of minutes. All right, we are back. It is still Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, and just to show you guys the minor league system rankings, your Miami Marlins have catapulted up to first with 245 points ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who have 167 points. We are one of 5 teams in the league with more than 100 points, and obviously the only team in the league with over 200 points. You see our top 5 prospects: Eric Doherty, Eric Doherty, who is the top prospect in all of baseball; Ben Mahle, who is the 3rd prospect in all of baseball; Jason Groom, who is 8th; who is this, Juan Brito? I already forget. Yeah, Juan Brito, who is 18th; and Dan Borthwick, who is 20th, which is fantastic. If we take a look now at top prospects, the annual top 100 prospects for batters, we have the 3rd best hitter, the 3rd best batter in terms of prospects, 57, 81, and that looks to be it for batters. And then pitchers, we have the 1st, the 8th, the 18th, the 20th. Would that be it? The 66th. Damn, I wish it was 69th. Yeah, so we completely restocked the farm system. We have a ton of high potential prospects now, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Probably the first time in the series that we've had as much high potential prospects as we do. But here is the lineup, and oh my goodness, it is awful. Michael J. De La Cruz is going to be our leadoff guy. John Dean will be batting second, but playing second. Luis Carpio will be hitting 3rd. Michael Chavis will be in the cleanup spot. He's the only batter in this lineup with any power whatsoever, I found, which is great. Jared Kelenic will be batting 5th. Lucius Fox will be batting 6th. Sky Bolt is going to get the reins and play center field for us for the rest of the year. He will be batting 7th. And batting 8th, the catcher, Christian Vasquez. Our backup, Shane Rowland, will be our backup catcher. Christian Hicks will back up at first base and third base. Sergio Guerrero will be backing up at second base and shortstop, although he'll be playing more often than Hicks. Tom Flacco, Joe Flacco's brother, will be playing backing up at left and right field, and B.J. Boyd will be backing up in center field. And looking at our pitching staff, Eric Doherty is going to slot in as our ace, followed by Michael Ballman, Nick Pivetta, Edward Cabrera, and we had to call Braxton Garrett because we had no other options. And our bullpen, AJ Minter, Caleb Dirks, and Liam Hendricks will be our stoppers, while Jose Barrios, Franklin Colomb, Sixto Sanchez, and Austin Franklin will be our middle relief guys. So I'm going to end the episode here after the major fire sale down in Miami. I hope Jeffrey Loria Jr. liked that one. But yeah, so we traded almost everyone on our 25-man roster for prospects. So hopefully, the end of the season, I'm not going to say hopefully it goes well, because I know with this team it's going to be awful. Just we do not have a lot of talent right now on the major league roster. So it's probably going to be laughably bad, but we will see how it goes. Hopefully I'm still here to see if these prospects develop, because if not, I'm going to be a little upset. But, I don't know. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I want to thank you for watching episode number 20. Episode 20 was definitely a bang. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I will catch you next time with episode number 21 of our Miami Marlins franchise on Out of the Park Baseball 18. I will catch y'all next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.